Sing it if you know it. New reaction from Democrats as Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell puts a date on the calendar to force lawmakers to state where they stand on the controversial Green New Deal, the Green Dream. The plan has been championed by freshman Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Leader McConnell plans to hold a procedural vote later this month and then advance it to a full vote. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calling it a political stunt. How dare you? And looking to put Republicans on the defensive. Chuck?
We are totally unified. Everyone knows that this bill is a sham, and we are going to ask our Republican colleagues to answer three simple questions. Thus far, they've refused to answer them. One, is climate change real? Two, is it caused by human activity? And three, should Congress do something about it? The fact that they're afraid to answer those three simple questions with no prescription as to what to do puts them on defense. And that's where we have them, and that's where we're going to keep them.
Yeah, not really. Meantime, the AFL-CIO, the largest group of labor unions in the country, coming out against the Green New Deal. That's problematic, calling it unrealistic, and saying in a letter, quote, "We will not accept proposals that could cause immediate harm to millions of our members and their families." Here's Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez's response to that.
There's so much work to do in transitioning to 100% renewable energy, and we have to do that work with union labor. We have to do that work with by reinvigorating our entire workforce. So I don't think that I don't think that it's representative of an actual split.
That's funny because this isn't representative of an actual plan, so that makes perfect sense. But when you've got the largest labor union in the country against your largest socialistic proposal, I think the left might have a few chasms here.
A lot to unravel there. I would say a couple things. One is smart move by McConnell. My guess is all the Democrats are just going to vote present. They're going to make it like it's a sham because it was just a resolution. It wasn't a legislative policy. Secondly, where I think the Green New Deal made a big mistake is they shouldn't have included health care. They shouldn't have included jobs guaranteed. Yeah. I think those things made it about we call it a big kitchen sink as opposed to isolating it to climate change. And therefore, I would have said to the Republicans, just like I said in healthcare's a right and there is a climate problem. Let them say, no, there's no climate problem. So I think they're going to have to, I think the Dems are going to have to rearrange this a bit and say they're for climate change and not force everyone to check the box on something as we've seen that says, you know, there's no such thing as a guaranteed job for all.
Well, if you don't want a vote, why put it in writing?
Well, it is interesting. I mean, it's 14 pages. It's technically an outline.
That's all it is.
Yeah, and so you saw Dick Durbin, Senator Dick Durbin, Democrat, big time, say, well, what the heck is this? Right. And I'm quoting him. Right. I have a 12-year-old who just made the basketball playoffs. Their second game through. So a lot of my metaphors will deal with that. I think that Senator McConnell just made a baller move.
Yeah, no, listen,
he did. I mean,
I said it right away. Great move.
That is bold, and it gets them on the record, and present doesn't count. I agree with Kennedy. Well, that's like checking I'm here.
It's an idea that he deserves to give credit to the Wall Street Journal editorial board, who on February 11th said just this.
Yeah, but he had to do it.
No, but vote on the Green New Deal, and then he announced the day, I think, after that he was going to move on it.
His announcement.
So it was an idea from the editorial board.
And he was wearing a green tie.
This wasn't. This isn't even an out. This is an outline that only makes sense in like the world of HR puffin stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and Jimmy and Witchy Poo can explain what it means. But listen, I want the Democrats, if they're going to get behind something this idiotic, I want them to step up and say, okay, everybody in this country, okay, the working poor, lower income Americans, we're going to drive your electricity prices through the roof, and we're going to basically increase the price of gasoline, maybe $5 a gallon.
That is such a good point. So what are some of the other costs here? What are some of the other consequences?
I seem to recall a former president on the campaign trail saying he didn't mind doubling or tripling people's electricity costs by shutting down coal mines. And that was a problem. And as we saw, fueled the economic votes for Donald Trump in 2016. But the costs are enormous. I mean, this thing costs, what, $91 trillion when it comes down to it. And the fact is that you can say that it's garbage because it is, but this is a test for 2020 candidates that are Democrats. Beto O'Rourke, Bob O'Rourke, he declared yesterday that he was running for president, and he said that we're going to save the human race from extinction. You have Amy Klobuchar on record saying, I may have changed some things in the Green New Deal if we were actually voting on it, but I do support it as an idea. You have a number of Democrats who are running for president in the Senate right now who are going to have to vote on this, and if they vote present, they're not only being cowardly about it, but they've already said publicly
they're not taking a firm, solid stance on the most critical.
Are they deniers now?
Something that's a non-binding resolution. Does voting on it give it more credence? Does it give it more credibility that, you know, this is a thing now? Because if you look at it, it isn't a thing necessarily.
It
isn't, just a group of ideas.
It isn't a thing.
But does it become more solidified by putting it on?
They're all endorsing it on the campaign trail.
Well, and even Nancy Pelosi, she says, I don't understand why.
She called it a green dream, by the way.
She doesn't understand why people are endorsing it yet, because they don't know what it is. But
and
does it become more real is my question for you.
I don't think it does, because I think you can have two narratives. And it depends, because we live in this polarizing society, which narrative you want to listen to. And the Democrats and our voters are going to say climate change is important, and Republicans don't think it is. And the Republicans are going to say...
Don't employ the straw man. There's plenty of Republicans who have come out and said, absolutely, climate change is real. We have to do something. We have to do it without sacrificing our economy.
Okay.
And there's an opening. Someone with an economics background, you understand that better than anyone.
And how many Republicans have come out hard against the president when he decided to be one of the 2 countries in the world to leave the Paris Accord?
Sometimes you have to say
I have not heard them speak truth to power on that one.
Some people believe addressing the environmental problem through the private sector, not through big government. That hasn't really done a whole lot when it comes
to how emissions have declined 30% in power production in this country because of natural gas, because of private industry. And if any Democrat has the guts to call themselves a capitalist, I think Beto O'Rourke even did that, then they might be able to run on that.
I'm a capitalist too, don't worry. You know
I know, but you're just sitting here on the sofa and not running for office, my friend.
And I never will.
And we, why not employ a little more nuclear power in this country? That's clean.
Yeah, listen, I think I've been very clear. You would not have seen me sign off for the Green New Deal the way it is. Okay.
Heresy!
I know. Well, no, there are a lot of... By the way, Joe Biden's not going to sign off for this, and Beto did not say, I support the Green New Deal.
Said he's going to save us from extinction, which apparently the Green New Deal does, too.
All right.
Well, Ocasio-Cortez doesn't seem very worried about jobs that will be lost due to automation, because far more jobs will be lost implementing the Green New Deal. Patrick Moore helped found Greenpeace. He has been aggressively critical of the Green New Deal, though, and we thought we'd find out why. Mr. Moore, thanks very much for coming on. So you're one of the founders of the most famous environmental organization in the world, and you think the Green New Deal sounds terrifying. Tell us why.
Well, because it would be basically the end of civilization if 85% of the world's and also 85% of the U.S.'s energy in the form of coal, oil, and natural gas were phased out over the next few years, like 10 years. We do not have anything to replace them with. Yes, if we went into a crash course of building nuclear reactors, we could replace them for producing electricity, but that isn't going to happen because the Greens are against nuclear, and they're even against hydroelectric dams, which at least is renewable, but they don't support that either. So basically they are opposed to approximately 98.5% of all the electricity that we are using, and nearly 100% of all the vehicle and transportation and ships and planes energy that we are using. So I just, when I tweeted the other day and had a huge response, over 3 million impressions on Twitter, when I said you don't have a plan to feed 8 billion people without fossil fuels or get the food into the cities where it's needed. That requires large trucks. And there's not going to be any electric trucks anytime soon hauling 40 tons of food into the supermarkets, where the people in the cities probably think it originates in the supermarket. But it does not. It's coming from farms out in the country where a few million people are growing the food for all the rest of the population. And if we ban fossil fuels, first, agricultural production would collapse in a very short period of time. There's these things called tractors, and they use fuel and all the other implements on the farm. And then there's the transportation. So when you have no fuel, how do you get the food to the center of New York, to Manhattan, where AOC is from? You don't. Then the people there will begin to starve, and that will spread out as a rot from the center of the metropolises all across the country, and half the population will die in a very short period of time. And as I also pointed out, there wouldn't be a tree left on this planet. Say this was a worldwide thing, because the United States isn't going to ban fossil fuels if no one else does. But say the Paris Agreement came into effect fully all around the world and everybody banned fossil fuels, there wouldn't be a tree left on this planet, because that would be all there was for fuel for heating and cooking, as they did in the old days when there was hardly anybody on the planet compared to what there is today. So just that one point, never mind the insanity of banning aircraft and fossil fuel using vehicles.
Well, you just completely blown my mind. And I knew some of that, but the way you put it was really stirring. Patrick Moore, I hope you will come back on the show anytime that you would like to.
Anytime, Tucker.
Thank you.